All right. I'm going to go ahead and start as people find their seats. Welcome to the 35th Annual Mabel H. Bexley Gift of Peace Lunch. Thank you for being with us today. My name is Mindy Murphy, and I'm the CEO of The Spring. And I am here to tell you that The Spring would not be able to save lives without the amazingly generous support of everyone in this room. Go ahead and start enjoying your lunch. I know a lot of you already are, as I take just a few minutes to highlight those in the room who are helping make our community a little safer and the future a little brighter for survivors of domestic violence and their children. We especially want to thank our presenting peace sponsor, the McNichols Company, right here. Patsy and Jean McNichols and their family and their amazing team are so generous to our community, and they have been giving us incredibly meaningful, long-time support, and we just can't thank all of you enough for what you do for us. As you can see from the program, The Spring has many generous donors supporting our work, including our justice sponsors, Hunt and Molly James. Molly is in the room over there. And the Mike Evans Family Foundation. Thank you, Courtney, for being here. And dozens of Courage, Renewal, and Hope sponsors. Please join me in a round of applause for all our sponsors. In addition to our generous sponsors, there are many fantastic members of the Spring's Board of Directors and our Advisory Council in the room today. If you are on the board or on the Advisory Council, will you please stand to be recognized? It would also be truly impossible to serve survivors without Team Spring, 90 dedicated staff who selflessly provide life-saving and empowering services to survivors and their children. Would everyone who is here right now who is part of Team Spring please stand? Table over there. I want to give a special shout out to Grace Ramos, Maggie McClellan, Ellen Lynn, and Megan Landolfi. They are the development team who put this great event on today. So thank you all for your hard work in making this a perfect event. At this time, I'd also like to acknowledge our wonderful community partners in this work, public officials, members of law enforcement and the courts, and leaders from social services and funding agencies with whom we partner. Without all of you, our services would be incomplete. When I mention your name, will you please stand to be recognized? And we'll hold the applause, because this could take a while otherwise, at the end. State Attorney Susie Lopez and her team, who are an integral part of our coordinated community response to domestic violence. Victor Christ and his team at the Hillsborough County Clerk of Court and Controller, and his team, they serve as an integral part as well of our coordinated response to domestic violence, and they make it possible for jurors in our community to donate their juror pay to the Spring, helping us raise upwards of $40,000 every other year. That's magnificent. Thank you. I know it's hard not to clap. Judges Jennifer Johnson and Margaret Taylor, who help ensure that the justice system runs smoothly for victims. Marcia Mejia, who is representing U.S. Congresswoman Kathy Castor's office. The Honorable Betty Castor, she is the former Florida Education Commissioner, State Senator, Hillsborough County Commissioner, and USF former President. Go Bulls. The Honorable Janet Cruz, former member of the Florida Senate and the Florida House of Representatives. The Honorable Sandra Merman, former member of the Florida House of Representatives and former Hillsborough County Commissioner. The Honorable Candy Olson, a former 20-year member of the Hillsborough County School Board. And Naya Young, a candidate running in a special election for Tampa City Council District 5. So we always want to cheer for people who are running for elected office, because we know that that is a hard thing to do. I'd also like us to cheer loud for the command staff from the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. You can see them over there. The Tampa Police Department, right next to them. And we have members here today from the Plant City Police Department. So a lot of our municipalities, thank you all. The Spring deeply appreciates law enforcement and how quickly your teams respond to help victims. We could not do this work without the work of law enforcement. So thank you all for everything you do every day and for being here. We also have several past recipients of our Lanterns of Peace, including Baycare, Construction Services, Inc., Michael Lundy, Molly James, Roseanne Capoli, Tennille Mislicki, the family of Ashley Hall, and Patsy and Jean McNichols, who couldn't be with us today, but are also have been Lanterns of Peace honorees. In addition, we have several CEOs from wonderful nonprofits who we partner with to more effectively deliver holistic services to survivors and their kids, including Yvonne Fry, founder and CEO of Workforce Development Partners, whose signature program, Future Career Academy, includes the spring and its future fairs, curriculum toolkits, business panels, and business tours, literally helping us reach thousands of children in our Hillsborough County Public Schools with messages on teen dating violence prevention. We want to stop domestic violence from ever happening, and Workforce Development Partners is helping us do that. Mary Pat King is here today. She is the CEO of the Girl Scouts of West Central Florida. She's over there. She provides one of their rustic and beautiful camps as the location for the Florida Gulf Coast Camp Hope America Sleepaway Camp that we, the spring hosts, as well as Sunrise and Casa and Pinellas, we co-host a camp for kids every summer, a sleepaway camp at the Girl Scouts camp. So thank you, Mary Pat, for all that you do for us. Katie Crow and Ashley Porch are the sustainer president and active president of the Junior League of Tampa, and they've provided grants to us for years, and we have partnered for many years on their diaper bank initiative, so we are a proud diaper bank recipient with them. Clara Reynolds, CEO of the Crisis Center of Tampa Bay, which among many other things is the Certified Rape Crisis Center for our county, so we work closely together in this work to prevent these awful crimes. Melissa Neely, CEO of the Ryan Neese Foundation. Her students partner with us each February for Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. Courtney Foss, director of the Courtney Foss, director of the Mike Evans Family Foundation, established by Mike and his wife Ashley to empower youth, encourage education, and take a stand against domestic violence. They have partnered with us in many ways over the past 8 years, and of course Mike is a fantastic Tampa Bay Buccaneers football player, so thank you all for everything that you do. Jessica Muroff is the CEO of United Way Suncoast, and they helped us recently with a resiliency grant after the hurricanes. Pastor Michael Neely is the board chair for the state's domestic violence task force, and also serves on the domestic violence task force locally. And there are members of the domestic violence task force. I think they're at a table over here. If you raise your hands over there, dedicated group of professionals trying to systemically stop domestic violence from happening in our community. And speaking of the DV task force, I would like to invite to the stage its co-chair, Will Warmke, with the Domestic Violence Division of the State Attorney's Office, and his boss, State Attorney Susie Lopez. They will be presenting the first ever Susie Lopez Advocacy Award to a member of law enforcement. So please turn your attention to Susie and Will.
Thank you, Mindy. And good afternoon, everyone. My name is Will Warmke, and I'm the Domestic Violence Supervisor at the State Attorney's Office. I also have the pleasure of being the co-chair of the Domestic Violence Task Force with the ever so wonderful Tennille Mislicki, and we'd be lost without her. Now, the Domestic Violence Task Force is a mechanism for strengthening relationships between community partners to better hold DV offenders accountable. This is a powerful collaboration between advocates, service providers, attorneys, prosecutors, and law enforcement officers, and so many others across Hillsborough County. Now, as many of us know, working in the field of domestic violence means we have to face a lot of ugly truths every single day. We're exposed to the worst of the worst time after time. And it's important for us to understand the reality of our work. We have to recognize when we have shortcomings, when we have failures, because it's that reflection that develops growth. But reflection is a powerful tool, but reflection also means finding the good. And there is good in this world, and there's so much good in this room. And so with that in mind, when we had this idea, we wanted to create a new initiative to recognize the efforts of law enforcement officers who did go above and beyond in supporting survivors in domestic violence investigations. And I thought to myself, who better as a better embodiment of someone who supports law enforcement and advocates for victims than our very own State Attorney, Susie Lopez. So as we announce our recipient, please join me in welcoming our State Attorney, Susie Lopez, to announce this year's recipient.
Thank you. And I want to first start by thanking the Domestic Violence Task Force for this honor and for all of the great work that they do every day supporting survivors. Hillsborough County is very fortunate to have a team of professionals who are so dedicated and passionate about the work that they do. This award is ultimately about recognizing the efforts of our law enforcement partners in supporting domestic violence survivors. Simply put, law enforcement officers save lives. From that first call to follow-up investigation and ultimately trial, Hillsborough County is so blessed to have such dedicated women and men in uniform. And to have had so many nominations for this award was a really good problem for us to have. The heartwarming stories shared through the nomination process were truly a breath of fresh air. This year's recipient is a very experienced law enforcement officer with a passion for serving our community. His work wasn't just responding to domestic calls for service, but time after time, he followed up with survivors after the incident was reported. He assisted survivors in collecting time-lapsed photos of their injuries, which added additional evidence to these cases. He showed compassion and patience during each and every one of his investigations. He talked to survivors about what happened and made sure they knew about the services available to them. He worked continuously with the Spring of Tampa Bay to become familiar with their shelter and injunction services. When survivors expressed their frustrations and safety concerns to him, he listened to them. Most importantly, he believed them, and he took action. He gave them the gift of peace. Promoted to sergeant just yesterday, he was a dedicated detective for investigating domestic violence for the Tampa Police Department. Please join me in honoring the inaugural Advocacy Award recipient, Sergeant Derek Warren.
When I asked him, did he want to say anything, he's like, no. But what a fine officer he is. We've worked with him a lot at the Spring, and he has really made our lives a lot easier. So thank you again, and congratulations on your promotion to sergeant. Before we take our next break, I want to recognize and honor two families in the room today who have experienced the worst possible outcomes of domestic violence. First, the Robles Hall family, who continue to honor the memory of their daughter, sister, granddaughter, and niece, Ashley Hall, by working to end domestic violence in our community. They are shining lights in our community, and out of their tragedy, they've done so much good for the world, but yet still so heartbreakingly sad that they experienced what they did. So thank you all for being here year after year. And I'm not sure, Michael, he arrived just in time making an entrance. Michael Beckwith, who founded Work for Peace in memory of his mother, Christy McGuire, who lost her life almost 5 years ago. And he has been raising awareness and funds for domestic violence ever since, most recently with Pajamas for Peace that I got to go to last weekend in pajamas. So thank you for being here, and I'm, again, so sorry for your families and the loss you experienced. No family should ever have to experience what they have. And that's why the Spring of Tampa Bay, Casa in Pinellas, and Sunrise in Pasco, and our 38 sister centers across the state stand ready to help survivors 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I also want to take one quick opportunity before we break for enjoyment at our tables to recognize the most important group of people in the room today, the women and men who have survived domestic violence as adults or children. We silently recognize and honor your courage, and we dedicate this day and everything we do to each of you. There are so many of you in the room. Some have disclosed, some have chosen not to, but we just want to honor you because we know the courage it takes to overcome what happens to you and make a peaceful and happy life moving forward. So thank you for being here. At this time, we're going to take about a 7-minute break, so you may enjoy conversation at your tables, and then I'll be back to talk a little bit more. Thank you. We're going to try and make up a little bit for lost time. We're going to go ahead and get started again with the program. I always hate interrupting everybody enjoying talking amongst themselves, but I also am mindful of wanting to end on time. I'm going to talk a little bit about the state of the spring and what we've got going on in the way of program services now. And I want to start with a statistic. Over the past year, we have seen a heartbreaking rise in domestic violence across our community. According to the Sheriff's Office, last year, 40% of homicides in our county were a result of domestic violence. 40%. This is a staggering statistic. Unstable home and economic environments often create conditions where abuse escalates, and women and children bear the brunt of this violence. Today, more survivors than ever are turning to the spring for safety, healing, and hope. For most of the past 6 months, our 128-bed emergency shelter has sheltered as many as 153 women and kids at a time. And the demand for specialty services like therapy and legal representation has skyrocketed. These services are essential in helping survivors rebuild their lives. We are especially thankful to the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office for recently launching a new dedicated domestic violence unit with 10 detectives, a corporal, and a sergeant who will handle nothing but domestic violence cases. Their commitment to holding perpetrators accountable and helping survivors find justice will be game-changing for our community. While we need your support now more than ever, I'm very proud to tell you a little bit about the ways we've grown even as our federal and county support has continued to shrink. Therapy services. Good mental health is so important, particularly for those experiencing trauma. Since we last came together at this event, the spring fully launched our therapy services division, providing 1,378 counseling sessions to 693 survivors of domestic violence in our program's first 12 months. That is really remarkable. Thank you. Yeah, that deserves a clap. The oldest of these adult survivors was 67, and the youngest was 19. They have come from all walks of life and across the spectrum of race and ethnicity. Our mighty team of 4 therapists focus on serving survivors in our emergency shelter, our outreach centers in Tampa and Plant City, and in underserved locations throughout our county. We are incredibly thankful to the Hillsborough County Department of Health and the Florida Office of the Attorney General for making these services possible. Legal services. As domestic violence continues to rise across our community, the need for legal support has never been greater. Our legal services division, with 7.5 attorneys serving Hillsborough County and 4.5 attorneys serving other counties or in a statewide capacity, provides free legal representation to survivors of domestic violence. Our attorneys are licensed through the Florida Bar and serve survivors across Hillsborough County, Marion County, which is Ocala, and in 13 counties in Northwest Florida. Last year in Hillsborough County alone, our 7.5 attorneys served 1,651 survivors with legal services. Yeah, you could clap for that too. They helped clients obtain injunctions for protection and represented survivors in dependency court when children have been removed due to domestic violence. In recent months, our attorneys have seen a record number of cases, a clear reflection of the growing demand for safety and justice. These legal services are essential in helping survivors secure protection, hold abusers accountable, and take the first steps towards rebuilding their lives. Last Friday, we learned we're being awarded an additional grant by the state to hire 1 full-time family law attorney, giving even greater depth to our law firm, which exclusively serves survivors of domestic violence. Thank you. To make these therapy and legal stats real, I'd like to share just one success story that spans both divisions. And this is written by one of our therapists, Rosalia, who just yesterday spoke to this survivor, and it happened to be the 1-year anniversary of the attack that brought her to seek services from us. The Springs Therapy team received a referral from a victim advocate at the Tampa Police Department requesting services for a young woman we will call Anna, who was violently attacked by her husband of less than a year. Anna had decided to leave her husband that day, and he must have sensed her resolve. After he attacked her, she had to be airlifted to the hospital and required immediate surgery with multiple subsequent surgeries due to her extensive injuries. After being released from the hospital, Anna relocated out of town so she could start healing with the support of her family. She could not work for over 4 months. Anna met with a therapist from the spring to help her process the trauma caused by her husband. She and her therapist met weekly and identified helpful coping strategies to process her difficult memories. Her therapist provided ongoing support and encouragement, and Anna has expressed much gratitude for the services she has received. After 4 months, Anna was able to return to Tampa and began working remotely while juggling multiple physical therapy and doctor appointments. Her husband was arrested, then released on bond, and rearrested after violating conditions of his pretrial release. With the assistance of the Springs Legal Services Division, Anna was granted a 25-year domestic violence injunction against her husband and is in the process of divorcing him. She feels safe knowing he is in jail, and I feel pretty confident that he'll be in prison for a long time after that. Thank you, yes. Anna recently returned to work in person as, get this, a healthcare professional working with vulnerable populations. So she is somebody who helps all of us, and in her time of need, the Spring and all of you are helping her. She continues to need physical therapy multiple times a week and is working hard to get stronger. But we are so inspired by Anna's courage, tenacity, and hard work as she continues to heal physically and mentally and be of service to our community. Anna is just one of thousands of survivors our dedicated staff help annually. She could be your sister, your neighbor, your coworker, or your friend. She is why we're here today and why I am sharing the good news of the services we provide in shelter and in our survivor services centers, thanks to your support. And finally, since our last Gift of Peace convening, we talked about this last year, our new Tampa Survivor Services Center opened in early December. Located on Osborne Avenue, this property is home to our thrift store and boutique, our donation center, and a wide range of non-residential survivor services like those that helped Anna. This wonderfully quirky 85-year-old refurbished building serves as a safe and welcoming haven for survivors seeking support. And I will say it is ugly on the outside, but it is absolutely magnificent on the inside. It houses our rapid rehousing team, 3 of our 4 licensed therapists, our prevention and training specialists, our high-risk team who works with law enforcement, and our child welfare team who advocates for survivors with children in the system. The building also offers drop-in spaces for community partners who provide additional resources to those we serve. In addition, the facility includes storage bays where survivors can shop for new items at no cost, things like diapers, hygiene supplies, linens, kitchen products, furniture, and children's toys, helping them rebuild their lives with dignity. And it houses our thrift store and boutique, where you can purchase great finds like this Trina Turk dress. So some of you have heard, this is from the thrift store, and I have the tag to prove it. It was $17. Maybe someone in this room donated it, but I am rocking this dress, and it's $17 from the thrift store. This expansion represents an incredibly exciting step forward, allowing us to serve survivors of Hillsborough County more effectively than ever before. We are deeply grateful to the Sperlino Foundation and to our friends in the room, Patsy and Jean McNichols and the McNichols Company, for the lead gifts that helped make this building a reality. While we've been in the building for almost a year, we are still fundraising to complete the $5.2 million capital campaign, and we have about $750,000 left to raise over the next 3 years. So if you've been considering making a capital gift to a worthy cause, we'd love to talk with you about how your gift can help survivors. In addition to our lead givers, we have capital givers in the room like Suncoast Credit Union, the Leisner family, Construction Services, Inc., and members of our board of directors who can share the good news of all that your gift can help accomplish for kids and adults. All our growth, the addition of new programs, the acquisition of new properties is for one reason and one reason only: to better serve survivors and their children. Everything we do for them. At this time, we'd like to introduce our 2025 Lantern of Peace honoree. Each year, we present a Lantern of Peace to an individual or a company for their action, their advocacy, or their altruism, in recognition of the fact that it truly takes a village to effectively support those experiencing domestic violence. This year, we are excited to honor a special volunteer, donor, and sponsor who has made a huge impact at our new Osborne building, enabling us to provide improved services to the survivors we serve. Our 35th annual Lantern of Peace honoree is Bonnie Doucette. She's right there. You can stay seated, though, because we're going to show a video. For those of you familiar with the Arthur Brooks book, From Strength to Strength, I can't think of a better example than Bonnie. A former pharmaceutical executive, she reinvented herself as an interior designer when she moved to Tampa a few years ago, and then added full-time volunteer to her resume. She shares her vast accumulated expertise and wisdom with us and the women we serve each day. We are so proud to recognize Bonnie for her extraordinary dedication, especially during one of the biggest transitions in our organization's history. Our recent move from Willow Avenue to the new building on Osborne would not have been nearly as successful without her incredible support. Bonnie devoted herself fully to this transition, often volunteering 40 hours a week to ensure a smooth and successful move. Her commitment did not stop there, as she continued to volunteer 20 to 40 hours each week at the donation center, where she trained volunteers, priced merchandise, assisted survivors with shopping, processed in-kind donations, and helped stock our survivor supply closets. In addition to her hands-on work, Bonnie is an active member of the Handbags and Happy Hour Committee and a generous financial supporter through her sponsorships and donations of essential items. Her dedication, compassion, and leadership truly embody the spirit of the spring and the mission we serve every day. Please turn your attention to our video screens. Bonnie is magic. Bonnie is a testament to what we can do when we work together. Bonnie is kindness personified. She's love in action. She is a gift to our community.
She is truly one of the most remarkable people I have personally ever met, and getting to know her has been a true honor. She is one of the kindest, most hardworking, and just such a loyal person that anybody who knows her is truly lucky.
I started volunteering with the Spring actually at the thrift store, and I had started 1 day a week, and I just saw how everyone appreciated everything so much. And so I started coming twice a week, 3 times a week. I think I was up to 5 times a week at one point.
As we transitioned into our move, we needed a lot more help, and Bonnie just kept showing up more and more and more, and suddenly she was here 5 days a week.
You can just feel the energy when you come to the Spring, when you talk to the people that come into the store, when you talk to survivors, and I would be helping them shopping for their items that they need when they come in. I personally get so much out of it. I really feel like I'm getting to know the community so much, and I'm a part of making Tampa better.
It's really incredible when somebody is so passionate about serving survivors of domestic violence that they're willing to just give their time, their money, their energy into a lot of laborious work.
She is continuing to volunteer with us and find amazing ways to be of service, even as she has recently faced a life-threatening health battle with leukemia.
Part of the Spring's mission that really speaks to me, although I love the entire mission, is you are not alone. It's what makes the difference. It's why everyone's here. It's to support people, to protect people, but it's also to make people realize that they're not alone. And there's a world of people here at the Spring.
She sees people for who they genuinely are, and she accepts everyone.
It's a testament to who she is and how she lives her life, and she's an inspiration.
I cannot think of anyone more deserving for this award than Bonnie. She embodies the Spring and our mission at our core. We are empowerment based here, and we want to make sure that everybody that comes to us feels that way. They feel welcome, they feel encouraged, they feel determined. Bonnie has shown me that in so many ways.
Genuineness, willingness to get in the trenches and to do what is necessary to move our mission forward and to serve the people that we serve with dignity, respect, kindness, and love. And Bonnie does all of that.
It's an incredible honor. It's not something I ever expected. When I had first started coming 4 hours a day to volunteer once a week, I never expected that I would get the honor to be this involved.
Please welcome to the stage our 2025 Luncheon of Peace honoree, Bonnie Doucette.
Thank you so much. I was crying before I got up here, but thank you. It's really such an incredible honor. I feel so welcomed constantly by the spring, which is why I started with 4 hours and I keep coming back for more. But it's so great to be a part of such a mission, such an amazing amount of work that the spring does and so much help that they need. And I believe in the mission. I see what the team does, Mindy and the whole team, to really make lives different and to help people. I'm just happy to be a small part of it. So thank you so much.
Isn't she fantastic? What a fine human being. Thank you, Bonnie. I am so thankful for all the ways in which she helps us move our life-saving mission forward. We are just so moved by all she does, even as she faces her own courageous battle. So thank you again. Now it's time for the keynote presentation. Today's keynote is the story of one survivor here in Hillsborough County who happens to be my longtime friend and former neighbor. Melanie and her ex-husband, Chris, very effectively co-parent their 3 children together, and he's actually here today to support her. But this gut-wrenching story is about a man named Tim, who she dated on and off for about a year, and what he chose to do to her 3 months after she dared to break up with him and stopped responding to his messages. Her presentation starts with a video that is 12 minutes long and will end with her on stage sharing a few thoughts with all of us. Please turn your attention to our video screens.
I don't know how I did it. The only thing that I was focused on was getting out the front door. From the moment that I got into my house, I just wanted to go out of my house through the other exit. That's just all I kept focusing on. We've got to go. We've got to go out the front door. And that was the goal that I wanted to accomplish.
He was there for one purpose and one purpose only, and that was to kill her. And she was certainly not going to let that happen. And she fought. She fought, and the bravery is that she demonstrated is absolutely unbelievable.
The minute she realized what was going on, her goal was to get out and to get out alive.
On the night of December 7, 2023, it was the first night of Hanukkah. I was celebrating with my children. And then I was going to see a comedy show and have dinner with my very close friend to celebrate her belated birthday. My kid's father picked them up to take them to his house because it was his night with them. So I proceeded to go meet my friend. We had dinner, went to the comedy show, laughed a lot. It was a comedian that I really enjoyed. And when I got home, I wanted to let her know that I was there. I closed the garage while I was still sitting in the car and texted her that I was home. By the time that I had gotten out of my car, the lights in the garage were already off. And I went to open the door to go into my house. I entered my code into the door and I opened it. Now, the door only opened partially because I keep a vacuum behind that door. And that also is where I keep my dog. When I'm gone, he stays in that first room with a dog cage. So I expected to see my dog. But I did not. I opened the door and there was a man standing there with a gun in one hand and a taser in another, pointed at me. I tried to close the door behind me and he held the door open. I said, "Tim, what are you doing?" And he said, "You broke me." And I said, "I'm not dating anyone. I was out with Amanda. You can call her. I went to go with Amanda. I wasn't dating anyone." And I'm backing up while he's walking towards me. And I tripped over a basket that was in the garage. And he was, at that point, like right over me with the weapons in my face. And he said, "I'm going to kill you and your kids." I remember thinking, not today, not today. So I somehow was able to move my hands and knock the gun away from my face and out of his hand. So he was just left with the taser, which he began to use on me, on my neck. And I kicked him off of me. I kicked him in his balls. Just like you're always told to do, right? I kicked him in his balls and he took a step backwards. That gave me a minute to get up and run back to my house. And again, I tried to close the door behind me, but he was right there. He continued to tase me right where I entered the house, in my laundry room where my dog was and the dog gate was up. And I asked him, "Why are you doing this?" And he just kept saying, you broke me. And he was pulling on my clothes to expose more skin, to tase me. And I remembered right behind where he was standing, I had my little dumbbells for my workouts that I hadn't put back in the garage yet. They were on their way. And I reached behind him and I grabbed one and I hit him in the head with it. And I remember thinking, that wasn't hard enough. And I did it again. I guess that time it was. He took the dumbbell from me and hit me in the head with it. And I fell. And I fell into the baby gate that was keeping the dog in that laundry room. So once I was on the floor again, he continued to tase me. He punched me repeatedly in the face. And I just remember his blood also dripping all over me, all over my face. And I tried my best to get up. And my only goal was to go out of the house. The struggle continued throughout the house for what seemed like an hour. I was able to move closer to the door, but he pulled my hair and I was back on the floor again. Same thing, getting punched and tased. I remember he said to me something along the lines of, "Let's go talk in the living room." And I remember thinking, I'm so close to the door, I'm going out the door. And I said no. And then I must have said okay, because he let me get up. And I opened the door. I was so close. I opened the door, the front door, to go out of the house. And he closed the door. And I opened it one more time. And I opened it enough to leave. And I closed that door behind me, trapping his hand in the door. And then I ran for help.
Melanie is this tiny little fierce woman, and to know that she was able to overcome someone who's twice her size, who was armed with a taser and a gun and a whole heck of a lot of rage shows that when you put your mind to something, you can do anything. And she wanted to survive, and she fought to survive, and she did.
And so she kept that voice in her head that said, I got to get to the front door. I've got to get out of this house. She kept that front and center. And no matter what Tim did, her plan was to get out the door. And that moment when he kind of snapped back into himself and said, as he's on top of her, as he's beating her, violently, and he now says to her, do you want to sit down and talk? She sees that opportunity and saw it for what it was, as a way to get him off her so that she could get out the door. And she did. And she lived.
While I was in the hospital being treated for my injuries, I asked the police detective that was with me, did you find my dog yet? Did he take my dog? Was he in his truck? And the detective told me, we didn't find him yet. And at some point he told me, we found your dog and he's dead. While I was in the hospital, I was being treated for a broken orbital bone, a broken nose, a broken bone in my finger, my hand. And I remember the nurses getting me all cleaned up. Finally, they were ready for me to leave. But I was not ready to go. I wanted to stay. I have known Mindy Murphy for many, many years, pretty much since I moved to Tampa. And I remember calling her because she knows everybody and everything. And I told her I was attacked.
So one of the first things I did after talking with Melanie and confirming for her, yes, this was in fact domestic violence. This is a textbook, case of domestic violence, and thank God she lived. I immediately deployed resources. So, she needed some legal guidance and advice, and our legal team was right there for her.
So the next day, as I'm sitting there in Mindy's house, talking to her on the couch, telling her what happened, she called Susie immediately. It was Friday night, and she called her. And Susie returned the call pretty promptly.
I first got involved in Melanie's case right after it happened in December of 2023. I got a call from Mindy, and she told me about what Melanie had gone through. First and foremost, we support survivors. And this office works so well with the Spring, with Mindy, with her team. And we have a great team of victim advocates who are there every step of the way. Our office stands with survivors, and we help them navigate the court process. And I went to first appearance court. And when I met Melanie, she was walking down the hall, and I saw this tiny little woman with a pink cast. And I thought, you know what? This lady is something to be reckoned with. She was not going to let what happened to her affect her. And just showing up with a pink cast, she showed her personality. She showed that she was feisty. And so I met her, and our relationship started from there. And I've just watched her go through the criminal justice system with the support of an incredible prosecutor named Lindsay Hodges, who worked with her for almost 2 years. And it's really just been incredible to watch her grow and to watch her not only survive, but thrive.
For months after the attack, I felt really unsafe in public. I couldn't be with crowds. I had to have a person with me that I felt safe with. Even in a crowd, I still felt uncomfortable. But over time, that feeling passed, and it took months, many months. But I feel comfortable again, being alone in public. I think that I've put the experience over here. That's something that happened to me. It's not my whole story. It's just a part of my story. And I still have my kids at home who need me to be the best mother that I can be. They don't need me to be home sad and wallowing in what happened, because they won't be able to function. I think a lot of the recovery for me after was just focusing on that. And if I was okay, then my kids would be okay. And my kids are okay. We are living in the same home that the attack happened in, and we are sleeping at night. we are happy, we are healthy, and just looking ahead to the future.
It just horrifies me that this guy wanted to snuff out a bright light. And I'm so glad that she is fierce and feisty and that she fought him off and she won. And she's here today. She's got a great life, and he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison where he belongs.
Melanie, I am honored to know you. You fought for yourself that night. You fought for your kids. You fought for Luke the dog. And you fought for every survivor who has had to endure what you endured that night. I could not be more proud to call you my friend.
The support that I've received all around is what keeps my attitude so positive and keeps me going. It makes me feel like I've got this.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to share my story today. I stand before you as a survivor, filled with gratitude for the spring of Tampa Bay, the love that helped me heal, and a renewed hope that reminds me people are still good. On the terrifying night my ex-boyfriend broke into my home and tried to kill me, fear was overwhelming, but I fought back. As Monica Arya writes in The Favorite Girl, fear is a simple reaction, but strength is a decision. Make the decision that can save your life. I made that decision to survive, and it did save my life. But afterwards, I was lost. Not even realizing the attack was domestic violence, I just thought, well, I'd been attacked. Arya's words capture this. You're living in denial because denial allows us to be blind to the truth we don't want to see, since our minds don't think we're ready to handle them. I couldn't process that this could happen to someone like me, from a safe neighborhood with a stable life, but domestic violence doesn't discriminate. It can strike anyone in any income class, in any community. In need of help, I reached out to my longtime friend, Mindy Murphy, a woman with strong ties to the community. I hoped that she could connect me with a lawyer to represent me, unaware that the state would prosecute the case for me. The legal system felt like a maze, from the restraining orders to the countless court dates, sentencing. The process was new to me, and it was overwhelming. With Mindy and the legal team at the Spring, plus Susie Lopez and Lindsay Hodges from the state attorney's office by my side, I felt safe and was guided every step of the way with compassion and expertise. Today, my heart is full of hope. For the past year, I've been dating a wonderfully supportive man who reminds me that kindness and goodness still exist. This experience has shown me that love can triumph over pain and evil. To anyone feeling scared or lost after domestic violence, you are not alone. The Spring of Tampa Bay offers counseling, shelter, and legal support to help you heal no matter who you are or where you live. They helped me find hope when I didn't know where to start, and they can help you too. To the Spring and my chosen family, who held my hand in the hospital, took me to every doctor's appointment, court appearance, who helped me take care of my kids, filled our home with flowers, get wall cards, meals, prayers, and who continue to show up. I want to thank you for everything you have done for me. When I look back on that time, I don't focus on the attack. I just think of the love that lifted me up after. Thank you.
She is a walking miracle, isn't she? Let's do one more round of applause for Melanie. We're bringing the day to a close, and I'd like to invite Michael Lundy, up at this time. Michael is a former 10-year board member of the Spring, and he is going to make the ask of all of you, and he does it brilliantly, and he has given his time, talent, and treasure for many years to us and is also a dear friend. So thank you, Michael, for being here to do this.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Lundy. I'm a former board member and board chair for the Spring. I had the pleasure and honor of serving for a decade, and I can say firsthand that the work that the Spring does is genuinely God's work. I've known Melanie for over a decade, and I can say that you only need to spend about 5 minutes with her to know what a brave and strong woman that she is. We are so grateful that you came here and you shared your story. No one should ever have to experience what you experienced. It is truly an honor and a blessing to have you here with us today. Sharing your story is inspiring, it is selfless, and it is part of what makes the Spring able to do the critical work that it does, so thank you. We also need to thank State Attorney Susie Lopez and her team, including Lindsay Hodges. You and your team ensured that justice was served. You have made sure that Melanie and her children can live happily and can thrive without fear, knowing that this man will be in prison where he belongs for the rest of his life. I come here today, I think, to do an easy job, but it is a big responsibility to ask you to invest in the Spring. There are a lot of ways to help survivors, but the easiest way is just to give, and to give generously, so that the Spring will be here for people like Melanie and all the other survivors who need them. We're all here today for this one brief moment to focus on the Spring and its mission. Maybe you're here because you're a survivor, or you're the friend of a survivor, or you're just here because you believe so strongly in what the Spring does. Whatever that reason is, you are here, and right now, you have an opportunity to make it count. You have an opportunity to make a difference for a survivor who, as we sit here right now, is scared for his or her life and who needs the help that the Spring is uniquely qualified to provide. And let's be honest, that by this time tomorrow, most of us will be on to something else. Work, family, life, whatever it may be. But I want you to rest assured that tomorrow at this time, the team at the Spring will be helping survivors. And on Thanksgiving and Christmas and all the other days when most of us are going to be able to enjoy some peaceful, loving, happy family time, the team at the Spring is going to be hard at work helping survivors 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. This can only happen if people like you and me give, and give generously. Your gifts of peace can ensure that the Spring is always there for people like Melanie and every other survivor who, oftentimes at the risk of their own lives, their children's lives, their pets' lives, find the courage to seek help. By giving here today, and only by giving, can we send the message to survivors that you are not alone. At each of your seats, you will see a donation card and a pen. There's also a QR code up here on the screen. And I'm here to respectfully plead with you that if you were moved by anything that you saw or heard here today, you make a gift of peace to support this work. After you've made your gift, you can place the envelope in the lantern that is on your table, or you can hand it to one of the staff members at the exit. And I have one other favor to ask, and it won't cost you anything. On your way out, we would like you to pick up some of the brochures and the mirror clings that are outside on the table. Distribute them to any businesses that you know. These mirror clings have helped survivors find the help that they need. They actually save lives. Together, it is our responsibility to let survivors know that they are not alone. Thank you so much for attending today, And this concludes our program.